on guys, my name's Russ. Today I'll be bringing you my Phantom build. This is something I have worked on countless weeks, years since I've got this deck. It's gone through many changes. As you can see, I'm running green, blue, and yellow as my main colors. Oh shit, my double. Don't mind that. So the reason I took out red, originally I was running a quad color build with this. I was doing green, blue, yellow, and red, splashing red for gates. You would just have games you were not having consistent colors. I had so many red gates in my hands that I just could not play. Phantom's a deck that you just want to be pushing soul at random times because Zwei, he's just a one soul swinger for most of the game. So this build focuses more on if Zwei dies, we have 2 advanced summons behind him. Hopefully you can stick to those. It does not run any level 2s, unfortunately. In my green, red, yellow version, I was doing the level 2 Claudia. And there were times where I had her in my hand and I just couldn't pay her effect at level 2. If you're not changing into her, it's going to be kind of hard. So, with further ado, I will bring you my build. Alright, so for my level 0s, my first level 0, I run Zollin Western. 1 copy. So, let me show you something funny. A lot of people usually run 2 of this Ein, or 2 of this, or 2 Goto Daisuke. I do one of each, as you can see. This is mainly for my colors, because Phantom, when you play Phantom, green takes 90 fucking slots in your goddamn deck. So, I chose to split a little bit and hopefully get more colors and more consistency. So what this card says is at the start of your Climax phase, you reveal the top card. If it's a Climax, you rest this card. It has screwed me a couple times, but at the same time, you still have a 4K fat butt. Like, it's... Generally, I will clock this card. I'm not going to play it. I have, 200 other things I'd rather be doing at level 0. But just good for color fix. So, Zollin Western. Excuse the glare. Alright. Keep in mind I do run 16 level 0s, so our second level 0 that we run, like I just showed you, is Instructor Ein. She gains 1500 power if there's 2 or less stock. So your 2 or less stock, 4K. If you have 2 stock and you swing, use your brain, she goes back down to 2500 because you will have 3 stock prior to battle phase. Keep in mind also, this is good for color fix. This is a card you can actually play because yellow isn't as restricted with your colors. I can actually level off my blue level 3s. It's just impractical. I can level off my yellow level 3s, so mine's just pretty good. Next, we have 4 copies. Oops, I fucked up. 4 copies of Claudia. She is a 500 assist. She also has an ability. It's a startup ability. You can put one of your number 2 guy's Weiss into your clock, and you put one of your 1/1 Rages, or Zweis, from your clock onto the field. We'll go more into the details of how the interactions of this deck work. I'm just going to show you the actual cards first. Alright, so this, I've seen builds go from 3. I have tested 3. It just seems too good in a matchup where you don't get dominated by level 1 bombs to just get an early Zwei out. Phantom is a deck that it has glaring weaknesses. It dies to anything with an anti-changer. It dies to wind triggers. It dies to level 1 bombs. But at the end of the day, it has plenty of good matchups. Like, if you can just sit on your Zwei and they have no answer for him, he takes over the game. You compress, 25% of your deck under 1 Zwei, you're probably going to win the game. Alright, next we got 4 copies of this overly expensive level 0. Don't ask me why he costs $1 million, but apparently he does. So Zwei is a 2500 base character. On play, he's an additional 1500, so he's 4K. If you do not get the change, do not feel free to just play him from hand. You're like, oh, I have 4K level 1 Kirito. You're like, okay, fuck you, die. Pretty simple, standard card, and just gives you a free swap for your level 1 Zwei. Pretty good. Next, we run 4 Dry Suicider. This fucking card. Another expensive level 0. This is another trust fund, baby, but it's okay. So, what this card says, it reverses any level 0 or lower character when this card is reversed, so a standard level 0 bomb. It is retardedly understated for the next effect, pretty much. So, on play, you pay 2 stock, you search your deck for any card with Phantom in its name. So it has to be Phantom in its name. You can't just search whatever and be like, I'm searching my Claudia. Does not work. It searches the level 2 PR Claudia, but the reason why I play 4 of this, I was thinking about dropping it down to 3. Phantom just does not pay stock very well. If I'm triggering, you know, I trigger 3 Climax in a turn. If I'm not playing, you know, 3/1/1s Weiss from hand the next turn, I'm not going to be paying that stock out. She just helps me pay out my stock and, you know, not have to overcommit to losing cards in hand or losing advantage by not playing my 1/0 Climax. Alright, so next card we have this. We have 2 of this Cal. Cal's 1500 on play. So she's a 3/5 attacker for the turn. Keep in mind it's 1500 once. So once you play 1500, if it survives the following turn or your opponent's turn, she's back down to 2000 power. Generally, you don't use this as an attacker. You can. Generally, you'll draw into, you know, you should have at least 1 or, you know, something like that in your hand. No issues at level 0. Secondary ability is pay 1, tap 2 character. It's very similar to Umi and Homura, the Brainstormer. So pay 1, tap 2, mill. Every Climax you hit, search a character. In the blue variant, I don't really do this too much because I like to control where my level 3 Ein is, or you can call her Ellen, whatever. Reason being is I need 2 of them in the waiting room, and certain decks don't let me just play 1/1 Zwei, put 3/2 Ein underneath, and just, you know, just play over. I can't really do that because they just bomb it anyway. So keeping your waiting room managed is very important with this version. Your advanced summons are pretty much your life. Okay. Also, good yellow fix. I do clock those if I have them. Alright, level 1. We have this card. Good old staple. 4 copies of this Claudia. So, she has an auto ability. She says when you play a Climax called Past. Past is, voila, the beautiful 2K1 that I still have not found signs for because I'm trash. So what she says is, as soon as this Climax is played in your Climax zone, you can pretty much put 1 of your characters in the waiting room. So you sacrifice a character, search your deck for a Southtown, level 1 or lower, Southtown or Gangster trait. I've heard both. I know people make fun of me when I say gangster, but fuck you. So, you can pull him out of the deck. He is Southtown / gangster. You can pull this one, your assist. You can also pull, if you ran the level 0 Goto Daisuke, you can pull him because he is also Southtown. I do not run him in this build because I feel I'd rather have more weapon targets in my waiting room, and I don't like committing 2 characters and losing a lane. I mean, Weiss is a game about damage. You're pretty much giving your opponent free lane to just rain. That rhymed. I don't really care. Okay. Another interesting thing about this is you do not have to sacrifice her. You can sacrifice your shitters. So, say for example, my back row consisted of this was in the back. I'm like, okay, she already milled. She did whatever she needed to. Okay, cool. Climax combo. Fuck you. Go away. Oh shit. Hella good. Wow. Such plays. Yeah. So, I mean, this card's good. I did drop it to 3 before. I have upped it back to 4 just because of the Climax combo. It is costless. So you can essentially put a full field as Weiss and Claudia's for free. Not really free, but you can put 4 of them, okay? You can put 4 of them. Still very good. Until I find something better, it's just going to stay this way. Alright. Please excuse me if I sound a little jittery. It's because I've had no coffee this morning. I just got called off work, which is really nice. Alright, so then we have this 1/1 Claudia. 1/1 Claudia is an assist. She's a global 1000 to anything with Phantom in its name. So, Phantom, you can go. He gets the power boost. He gets the power boost. All your level 3s get the power boost. Anything with Phantom in its name. So you do not give it to the Claudia. So, if you're playing somebody, they say, oh yeah, my Claudia is 7k. Call them shit, trash, and then burn their house down. Don't do that. Okay. So, next. Very good. Also, remember you can change into this from the level 1 Climax combo, just very efficient. This is what makes Phantom scary. You put 2 of these in the back, you put a Zwei, and you have a mark underneath. All of a sudden you have a 9/5 asshole. You're like, what do I do? I bomb it. I cry. Next, we have the bane of some decks' existences, and one of my favorite cards. I can just pick this shit up. Here we go. 4 copies of 1/1 Markers Y. This card has caused me so much grief and so much happiness in the past. I've seen this card destroy games, win games completely for me, and also just lose games 100%. Because this is pretty much, this was my game plan in the past. This was it. I had, ran 15 fucking backups to just protect the shit out of him. But unlike Magic, you can't just do that. You can't just say God's willing or, negate whatever. There's nothing like that here. You have to pretty much deal with what you have. There is one level modifier, like I said, he's going to Daisuke at level 0. He says he gives all your other characters +1. I think it's him. I don't think he gives it to himself, but I could be wrong. But he gives all the 2 other characters for sure +1 level if you have 2 or less other characters, or 3 or less total characters, I guess you could say. The issue with that, like I said, is you can have an open lane, and these Weiss will only be getting power from their markers. They will not be able to get the Claudia in the back. Unless you do something retarded, like you have one Zwei, Claudia, and a Goto Daisuke, then you're like, okay, Soul Rush me. Like, no, please. How this card works, he reverses a character. If he reverses that character, you can take a weapon trait from your waiting room and put it underneath as a marker face down. Every marker underneath this Zwei, he gains 1,000 power. Keep in mind your weapon traits in the deck. Such cards like some of the Cal cards do not have it. She's Clock. The Claudia is Southtown. These cards do not go underneath as markers, and don't let people do that. I mean, hell, if somebody puts like a Climax under there. But very good card. Takes over games and will lose just as many games. So depends on your meta. Highly depends on your meta. This card could be incredibly broken where you are, but where I play, everybody's up the ass about having level 1 reversers or cost 0 bombs, cost 1 bombs, whatever. So he generally doesn't, you know, he doesn't live very long for me. I said cost 0 bomb and then cost 1. Sorry. Next, we run 2 of this 1500 backup Ein. I love the art on this card. As you can see, it's the promotional art, I think. Oh no, it wasn't the same one that I used on the title, but very pretty card. It's 1500, it's weapon trait. I don't believe she has Phantom in the name. Hold it. You know what, I might be wrong about that. I don't think she has Phantom in the name. Let me check, because that seems important. Yes, this card does not have Phantom in the name, so you cannot actually search it with Dry Searcher. She does not get the bonus from Claudia's, so just keep that in mind. She does have weapon traits, so you can use it as a marker, and it is salvageable and searchable. Pretty standard stuff. Uses Protector's Wise, make you cry. Next, card that I used to run as a 2 of is now down to a 1 of. The Ferrari F40. This card says it's a counter. You can clock yourself. You clock this, give one of your characters 3k. So if I'm in battle, they go swing, you're like, okay, cool, back up, plus 3k. You protect your Zwei. Also can be used on the offense because it is an event, so you still have to clock it, give one of your characters 3,000 power. It is not restrictive to name, it is restrictive to, only thing you have to do is play to a character. So it is not phantom restrictive, which is a good thing. Also important for protecting your Zwei. Next we go to level 2, which is full of tech and bullshit. Alright, so play 2 copies of Reiji, Talent for Killing. He does not have Phantom in name, just to note. He is weapon trait, and I believe, or he might just be Southtown. Most likely he is only Southtown. Oh no, he's weapon trait. So you cannot, Claudia can't pull him anyway, but if he was level 1, you can't actually pull him. He did only weapon trait, so you can put him underneath as a marker. Reiji's a 2/5 backup. He says, if you play this, give one of your characters with Phantom in its name that's in battle plus 1,000 power. So let's give an example just to reiterate. If you had Claudia in your front, you say somebody's swinging for 6k, you say backup. She only gets a 2,500 boost because she does not have Phantom in its name. Okay, so say for example, Bammo. This dude has like, hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. 50 fucking markers. Alright, they go, bam, I'm swinging for 20k. You're like, cool, dude. Fucking 2,500 backup plus 1k because this backup, all of a sudden he's like 65,000. Sure, seems good. Very good card. Very good for protecting your Phantom, which is your entire deck. And he's also something, I run 2 copies just in case I can't get my colors. I clock him. I still have another one. Generally, you try to run 2 copies of backups if you don't run gates. Or you just see if you can hold it early. That's pretty much it. Triggering 1 sucks when you can't actually salvage. Next, I call this Look Into My Eyes, but it's called Phantom. So this is one of the coolest fucking cards of this deck. I want to run another copy, but no room. This card says it's an event. You say, pay 1. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck, add 1 to your hand. The remaining 3 cards, rearrange it however you want, put it back on top of your deck, and it's still your turn. Keep in mind it's during your main phase. So the reason why this is good, you can actually, say for example you have a draw trigger, and you're like, okay, I have 3 cards on top. Take the draw trigger, you can play it for the turn, you know, just a lot of plays you can do. Or if you want to trigger something, or if you need to trigger exact damage, if you're swinging for the end game or whatever, just a very good card to have. Phantom's deck manipulation is, you know, relatively low. It has, I mean, its zone manipulation feels like trash too. I mean, if your Zwei isn't getting markers, I feel like the deck is gonna suffer. But this is just another way to help mitigate just the lack of control you have overall. So, pretty good card. Next, we have the 44 Magnum. This thing destroys people. So I've made a couple people salty with this card. So what this says, it's a 2/1 backup. If one of your characters, if it goes to the waiting room, or even if it doesn't, I believe, you return it to the stage rested. So basically you're paying 1 and giving something encore. This is the part that pisses people off. So if they have an advanced summon, they run over one of my shitters, right? They're like, okay, I'm gonna play my 3/2 something and kill you. You're like, okay, whatever. Magnum it. End phase, encore step. Comes back rested. Their character cannot stand. The character that was in battle cannot stand. Theirs. So their advanced summon that they paid 15 stock to pay, yeah, they can't stand it. Very upset. Makes people cry. Highly recommend this in blue builds. Try to find at least room for 1. I was running 2 originally, but I found out you only need 1. I mean, just 1 of these is enough to make somebody really scared. Alright, onto our beautiful level 3 game that is... it's there. Okay. So we have level 3 Zwei. Level 3 Zwei, he is a clock shot. He's 9500 base. He gives -1 soul in front. He basically on reverse, you pay 3 stock. You can send their character to their clock. This happens on attack and defense, so if they ram into him, you can still pay the 3 stock and clock it. So you can already see something that's interesting about this card. It's very expensive. Paying 3 to do the clock shot. It's pretty much you're going to win. This wins you games, but at the same time, it's do or die. Like, you're going to be spending all your stock out. You do not run 2/1 Claudia in this variant, so you do not have infinite stock, but still, he has won me plenty of games. He also has ability. He says he has Climax Encore. You know, if you're like me and you have 20 Climax in your hand because you draw clock 3, whatever, Climax Encore. Nothing else really to say about this card. Just good. You run it as a 1-of. You don't need more than 1. I don't think anyone would need ever more than 1. Only issue is you don't run gates, so if you hold it early, hold it forever. Next is a card I'm very fond of. I love this card. Ellen. So what she says is if your opponent has 5 or more Climax in their waiting room, this gets -1 level in hand. So I'm sitting at level 2. I'm like, I always ask my opponent, I'm like, how many Climax do you have? They're like, 4. I cry. They say 6. I'm like, yes, I win. Pay 2. Fine. What she is, so if you're familiar with the leaf up from Sword Art Online, she gives 1500 to all your weapon trait. So weapon trait can be anything from this, I mean, like, the list goes on. There's a lot of weapon trait. Anything that can go under Zwei is pretty much a weapon. She does not give it to herself. She gives it to everything else. So basically, if you have 2 of these in the front, 2 Claudias in the back, and a marker Zwei, you can laugh at powers. Interesting ability about this card. So a lot of people wonder why I swing this into an open field, like if they have nothing there. So one thing I wish Phantom could do well is pay out stock, or have a discard outlet. This basically goes, you swing into an open slot, hit for 3, they cancel. She says when damage is canceled, you can pay 1 and draw a card. So generally what happens is, if you're like me and you'll swing into an open slot, trigger 2 soul, because controlled swings, swing for 5, of course they cancel, right? Pay it out. Amazing. Wish all these cards did that. But very solid card, very good. It helps Phantom when its 1/1 game plan dies. This whole deck revolves around keeping some sort of advantage if he dies. You can still play a heavy protection game against him. If he does snowball, I mean, it's probably just you're gonna win. But if they do take care of him as a problem, you do have backup plans right here. It's a very fun card. The art is a little blurry, but I do love the art. Yeah, it's a solid card. It's from the PR set as well. As you can tell, there's a shit ton of PRs in here because without PRs, this deck is trash. Alright. Next, probably my favorite card on the set. Nobody Phantom Ein, or the Japanese version that I can't say because I'm not weeb enough, but So basically what she says, if there's 2 of these in your waiting room, she gets -1 level in hand. She has Phantom in the name, she's weapon trait, and she heals on play. So when I was playing this deck back in the day, I would pretty much go... This is before the time where everybody started playing level 1 mobs. He'd generate me enough advantage, I would be pushing enough soul damage where they have 5 Climax, and I would have 2 of these in my waiting room because I could just control my waiting room with these. So you can see how this field just gets ridiculous. Like, what do I deal with? You know? So you're just looking very threatening here. Generally, if you can play a very sustain-heavy game, it's a lot less consistent without gates, of course, but you can still generally get 1 to 2 of these out per game if you play it right, or if you're not getting soul rushed. If you get soul rushed, then you just have to kind of just do the best you can, like any deck. Very solid late game, just your late game heal or whatever. Still gets the boost from your Eins and Claudius, so very good card. Last, we have Climaxes. Oh, Climaxes. I've tried a bunch of iterations of this too, but this is currently what I'm going to be running. So I run 4 of the past Climax. I have tried 3, I've tried 2. I think 4 is the best. My issue with this card is I always play the 2k1 and I draw a Climax, but, that's just Weiss. There will be games where that does not happen and you'll feel good. Very important because, as I said, it Climax combos with your 1-0 Claudia. One of them's missing. Alright. Nothing more to say there. And also it helps Phantom, because you're always swinging for 1 soul. If you trigger this with Zwei, you swing for 3. Pretty good, because you're not running the +2 soul in this variant. Nothing else to say, and I need to foil this out. Next, we have 4 copies of this draw trigger. Why a draw trigger? Why not salvage? The 4-colored variant, so salvage is cute and all, but with 4 gates, you ideally only salvage once per game. I mean, how often do you trigger your gates when you have 4 gates? I trigger once. If you're doing 8 gates, you might trigger 2 or 3, like, okay, cool, whatever. But the reason we play this is for color, and also I like to be able to play 1k1s. I like to be able to play Anthem effects for soul. Big issue with Phantom is if you're sitting on this and you can't get your advanced summons, I mean, if he's taken off or whatever, he's still swinging for 1 soul. So some dude's swinging at me, he's like 50k, swing for 1. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, that's not threatening. But if you're starting swinging for 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, like, that's fucking terrifying. So just having the ability to play these is really good. Having the red Climax in my hand a lot of the times was dead. I could only clock it. I mean, that was really fucking impressive. But I think with this variant, the draw trigger is a lot more solid. But feel free to try the Gates version. I mean, it has worked for me in the past, but don't cry when you have dead cards in your hand. So, some interactions of this deck. Alright. Let's talk about the level 0 combo that we were talking about. So, let's start with this. Sure. Alright, so your field looks like this. Keep in mind, we talked about this Claudia, right? So the 500 in front, and she has a startup ability. You put this in your clock, and you put one of these onto your field. Startup ability. So this is not a Climax change. You can just do this. You can straight up just do this right away, and you're like, okay, I keep wanting to play stuff. Cool. Like, it doesn't matter. I see a lot of people think this is a Climax change. It is not. Another interesting fact to know, if your clock looks like mine on a regular day, it looks something like this. Yeah, okay. So if your clock looks like this, you go, startup ability, put this in clock. Oh shit, I hit 7 damage. You have to level. Zwei goes bye-bye. You see, okay, yeah, that's very retarded. Don't do that shit. So 0-5 at the latest. In this situation, you're like, cool. You know, because you have to consider that he's going to be here. If the effect was saying, like, swap at the same time, then you're okay, but the fact that you have to put him first interrupts. So keep that in mind. Alright, so what's some other interesting things? Also, use this, I mean, you should be using this all game. If you have a Claudia back here, there's no reason you should be paying for Zwei, unless you want to pay out Climax. Always do this effect if he's in your clock. Just say, fuck it, boom, boom, boom. Always good. Another interaction we said was this. We're actually going to get all the pieces here so I can show you a nice little demonstration. So generally when I play this combo, it looks very similar to... How does my field usually look at level 0? Okay, so I say one of these, and fuck it. One of these, okay. So my field generally looks like this. Going into level 1, I level off of green. Or if you're MLG, you can have yellow in your clock and clock green. You're just like, I'm so good at this game. But if you do not, it's fine. Go green. You need to get your field ready. You need to try to start snowballing ASAP. So what you would do is 2k1. So what I see a lot of players do is they think you can only sacrifice her. So they'll give up a 5k attacker and replace it and leave a shitter in the back. Like, why are we doing this? So instead, we're gonna go sack this, get this, sack this. Boom. Continue the process. Boom. So you notice how I left a 5k behind. I triggered 3... Did I do that 4 times? I'm a fucking idiot. Bull. Okay. I'm a fucking idiot. There you go. So, 3 times. Generally you'll do it like this. Try to always maintain your powers. So if you have a level 0 in the front, don't sacrifice the Claudia to bring out this Y. Sacrifice the Dry to bring out this Y, okay? That's just the moral of the story. Let that quadra change, though. Alright, what's some other neat interactions? Markers Y. Markers Y. Neat little thing you can do with this guy. So, you remember our beautiful level 3? Fine. She says you have 2 or more in your waiting room. So early game, if you feel like you're going to get pushed, you're going to get soul rushed, and your opponent has no way to kill this thing, if they have no level 1 bombs or just don't have power anywhere, start putting these underneath this Y. Okay, so as soon as you have 2, you have 1 in your hand, you don't really give a shit where this one goes. I mean, you could have 2 in your hand if you're pro as fuck, but if not, so say for example, I refresh. Going into level 2, I refresh. Where's my waiting room? Shit. No, just kidding. Then you go all of a sudden, wow, I'm a good player. Play over your Y. Oh my god. It's like it was there to begin with. All of a sudden you're putting the field and you're just feeling hype as shit. So, always keep in mind that you can put these underneath because they are a weapon trait. It is just a little sneak tactic if you feel your opponent plays like a level 1 Climax combo and you're like, fuck, I don't want to take 12 damage. Or you just don't feel comfortable where your Climaxes are currently, like you open up 3+ Climax. Do this. Very solid. It's worth a shot too because it baits your opponent into trying to kill him. Which they probably can unless they have, like I said, level 1 reverse or etc. Other nifty little tricks I like to do, let's see. That's really it. I mean, Phantom's more of like a power deck. It thrives on compression. If you're not compressing, you're just playing a standard Weiss game. The reason why this set is feared is because it can compress so hard, and it is one of the easiest to counter in the current meta. The current meta is all about clock encores, level 1 bombs, anti-changers, all things that hurt this deck. But there will be good matchups for you. You will go into a game and just dominate. I mean, I've done it plenty of times. It feels pretty good. It makes your opponent really salty, but very solid set overall. If I were to take this into an example, I love Phantom. I like to play Phantom, and I want to go to a shop and play in a tournament. I probably would take this variant, just because there's a couple things that's better. You don't salvage. That's the biggest thing, like you just don't salvage. Level 3 Dry. I'm not the biggest fan of her Climax combo where it's a +2 soul Climax combo. You're just like burning all your stock. They're canceling everything because you're swinging for generally like 4 or more. I don't know, I just feel more comfortable with the blue build. The blue build feels a lot better. I just like being able to dominate early. What this deck lets you do is it lets you snowball early. The red build, you kind of have to wait till level 3. With this deck, you can just literally win the game at level 2. Like, you're level 2 and you're just playing a shit ton of Eins. Like, Eins everywhere. Like, this is a 9. You're just gonna win the game. Like, what do? You're just healing every turn, and... I mean, you'll probably heal once or twice, but still, you get the picture. It's usually all it takes. And then you're just ramming soul, soul, soul. This thing's too big for them to kill. This thing's too big. Oh, you have a 3-5 counter. You know, like they get their own advanced summon. You denied their advanced summon. They cry. There's a lot of things this deck can do. Yeah, so hope you guys like the deck review. I know there's a couple deck profiles on the red, green, yellow version. I played that for a little bit, and I've been alternating ever since, and I think this is probably what I'm going to go with. Just a week ago, I was playing a Soul Rush deck, and I was like, I don't think this really works, you know. I wasn't really happy with its performance. It was doing stuff because it was consistent, but you lose out on the true power of Phantom. You know, you lose out on the really cool cards like this. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, comments, or if you want to call my build trash, that's fine. Just leave any criticism or praise.